anymore. And another thing, Mr. Chiquel, the next time that I tell you that I saw something when I saw it, you believe me that I saw it. Oh, relax. Now that we've seen the last of Dracula, the Wolfman and the monster, there's nobody to break us anymore.
Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping to get in on the excitement.
Who said that?
Allow me to introduce myself. I'm the Invisible Man.
We monster fans often have disagreements about our favorite fright films, but there's one point on which nearly all of us agree, that Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is probably the best horror comedy ever made, just as fresh and funny today as when it was new. The timeless comic genius of Bud Abbott and Lou Costello has a lot to do with it, but so does the irresistible presence of our favorite Universal monsters in their final appearance together. Lon Chaney as the Wolfman, Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and Glenn Strange as the Frankenstein monster somehow managed to retain all the dignity befitting classic horror icons, while lending their talents to some of the most hilarious set pieces to ever come out of Hollywood. Want to find out how it all happened? The story starts in 1948 at a little-known tourist attraction in La Mirada, Florida, McDougal's House of Horrors.
We don't have anyone to bury her.
Count Dracula sleeps
You
in his
don't?
coffin, but rises
You have
every
any
night
Eric?
at sunset.
Eric's not around.
That's right. This is awful silly
Eric
stuff.
won't do it right
Although
by
Abbott
the
and
house like
Costello
Lana wants.
perfected the horror comedy in
Do you
a
have a
popular
shovel?
series of films in the 1940s and 50s,
We're gonna ask
humor
Scott
had
next door
always
when
been
he
an
comes back
important
from
I
part
can
of
do it.
Universal's classic
I
horror
don't know if you're
formula.
strong enough, honey.
I think I can. Can I at least try?
We're gonna ask Scott first.
Okay.
And we have one more person we can
Masters of the
contact.
genre,
And I
like
don't even know if
director
we have a
James
shovel.
Whale, always understood that
So,
laughing and screaming
go back
were
to that
just
now.
two sides of the same
I'll give
coin.
you now a hug.
Okay, keep out here.
Here we go gathering.
Mommy, let me just give you a hug right here.
What's you taping, Mom?
Here we go gathering nuts today on a cold and frosty morning. Whoops!
While Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein became one of the comedy team's best known and most loved films, neither Bud or Lou ever anticipated careers having anything to do with
She
monsters.
might be happy that
Bud
she's
Abbott's family
going
was
to the
in show
house.
business. They were
Oh,
with
we
the
have to go
circus and
back
later
there.
with burlesque. And at the time, burlesque was very clean, and that's the form of
And then
entertainment
it was out
where
on
you
the
have
floor.
stripteasers and comedians,
Wrapped up in the
basically.
blanket.
You know, the two things that really
That's
appeal to a
when we
male
have to
audience.
do something about it.
He got into burlesque, and he was in burlesque over 20 years before he met and teamed up with Lou Costello. Now, Lou was bitten by the show business bug, I think, from seeing Charlie Chaplin.
Well, my dad actually came out to Hollywood the first
I'm not
time,
seeing anymore.
back in the
I'll
20s.
just-
And he had his heart set on becoming
No,
a
I give it
dramatic
to him.
actor. Charlie Chaplin was his favorite. That was his idol. But I think he also saw in Chaplin the element of acting, not just the comedy. So when he came out here in 1925, I think it was a hard road for him. He slept in parked cars. You know, it was real hard to get the work.
Lou found jobs as a studio construction worker and stuntman, but only occasionally as an actor.
It was Dolores Costello, however, that told him to go back on the road, perfect his craft, and let Hollywood ask for him and then come back out. So he hitchhiked en route back to New Jersey and got as far as St. Joe, Missouri.
Stranded in the Midwest, he took a job as a baggy pants comedian, work that kept him employed for several seasons. Then, on the burlesque circuit in 1936, Lou Costello met Bud Abbott.
I believe Bud had taken over for my dad's straight man who was sick one night, and his chemistry was there and history was made.
They are a classic combination that goes back to Greek comedy of contrasting styles, the short, the tall, the thin, the fat, the smart and the dumb. It's a combination that everybody can identify with and everybody kind of sees themselves in at some point and can laugh at.
Plenty of people were laughing, and Bud and Lou soon took their famous burlesque routines to the airwaves.
When Abbott and Costello moved into radio on the Kate Smith show, they started running short of these classic burlesque scenes that they knew so well, and they hired a fellow named John Grant, who was probably the best writer-producer in burlesque.
One of their most celebrated routines involved a hilarious misunderstanding over the oddly named players of an imaginary baseball team.
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Don't change the players.
I'm not changing nobody.
Take it easy.
What's the guy's name on first base?
What's the guy's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third. We're not talking about him.
It was through the radio show and the airing of Who's on First that Hollywood did call for them, and that was Universal.
Can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar is playing with them. He makes the company jump when he puts heavily.
Among their first pictures at Universal was Buck Privates, one of the most successful wartime comedies ever.
1, 2, 3, oh, bingo, quiet. Never mind that.
Fix around. Fix around.
Why don't you make up your mind?
They became quickly the hottest box office in the country that year in 1941, and they made 6 films in 12 months. And in 1942, they were voted the #1 movie stars in the world, and from then on, they were always at the top, in the top 10 list of movie stars, box office stars, and in terms of highest salary performance in show business as well. They were making probably about $1 million a year. This is in war years.
The team of Abbott and Costello was Universal's hottest commodity in the early 1940s.